Good afternoon, friends. I am giving this lecture on weaving subject based upon narrow width weaving fabrics. Now, technology of narrow width weaving fabrics is very unique type but very important commercially. The title of this lecture is Weaving Technology for Narrow Width Fabric and High Strength Belt. Belt is also one kind of woven fabric. Before 17th century, there was no concept about the narrow width fabrics because only single split fabric was woven on the handlooms. After 17th century, concept of narrow weaving has come and application in several splits were started simultaneously. If we see, shading and weft insertion was optimized in 20th century and this technology became very much need of the mankind, as well as lot of auxiliary devices like Dobby and Jacquard designs has come to put on the loom, and after this application we can make the weaves, even designs on the narrow fabrics for product development. The definition of narrow fabric is that any fabric having width less than 45 centimeters comes under narrow fabric. Now we will take the machines one by one with the companies, like I am showing you ITMA American narrow weaving machine for sample development. Now if you see the machine, it is for sampling. What happens if we are making the sample? We will take minimum inputs for more and more outputs to decide a big length commercially. So we cannot make a full width sample up to the ability of the facility because cost is a very important concern here. So narrow looms are good to weave this narrow fabrics. Now, ITMA American narrow weaving machine, we can weave many designs of fabric from different yarns to finalize the fabric for particular use. This facility prevents uh, prevents this facility prevents consumption of costly yarn during the sampling, because if we make the broad fabric, yarn consumption will be more and cost will affect. But if you make the prototype of the costly yarn in the small width, naturally cost of the material will be less. Now, narrowing machine of America, ITMA America, being with below 20 inches, but actually this is nominal width 20 inches. We can weave up to only 18 inches. Means what I define, it should be below 45 centimeters of the fabric, called as narrow fabric. Speed is 75 picks per minute. It's full width utilized. There is high speed in case of narrow weaving fabric, and depends upon the thickness of the fabric also. If fabric is more thick, speed will be less, and vice versa. Baptism system is a single pick by rapier. It means when weft is inserted from one side and one rapier gives the weft to other rapier, giver and taker, it takes out the thread and period takes place. This cycle completes the weaving cycle in single phase weaving. At a time, we can insert the 8 type of weft, maybe different in count, maybe different in color, to make the prototypes. So there is a more scope for sampling. Now shading. There is a 24 hinge frame including lino selvage frame, means for border or selvage. 24 hinge means there is a lot of scope to give the designs to this fabric. Now, if we come on the beat up is controlled by a servo motor. So compact beat up comes, heavy fabric also can be woven on this machine. Fabric quality will be very good and firm on these machines. Now, Jacob Muller Stress Technology. This is a very famous worldwide company, having branches in different companies like US, like Switzerland, my head office, then Italy, China, India, Bangalore. Many places this company is making the fabric, and they are best, one of the best company in narrowing, in belt, even in ropes. They also started a concept of ropes. I will not cover the rope here because subject is narrow fabric, but if you see the belt and fabric, you can see the multi-width narrow loom. There are several fabric at a time can be woven within the machine capacity. So you can see there are some different color fabric for different beams are coming. If you see direct warping machine, we are making the viewers beam small on the machine for producing narrow fabric. Suppose in the fabric we have sorry suppose we can see this beam. If there is number of beams, you can see the warping. So 500 ends are making the one beam. We want the 3000 number of ends or number of warp ends in a fabric. So we can make 6 beams one by one and put them together on the warping creel here. We can make one beam of 100 ends, then we can put the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beams. So 500 multiplied 6 beams, 3000 threads or warp ends will come together in the narrow fabric. Like the loom, in this machine there is a warp stop motion, there is a rapier, single rapier, which takes the weft in the shade. Then there is a reed, small reed, according to what we want to make the fabric. Then there are the hilt frames, hilt wires, and shading cams here. So we can change the design if required. Even we can make from the same beams lot of designs by changing the cam. Then this fabric will be wound in form of cloth roller here. It's a very good machine for making the belt. Now, if we come on the levels, see, use of level is everywhere with a commercial market, and goods have been sold by levels. So these machines are very much needed for making levels. We can say a small piece of cloth are attached to identify the country, owner, uses, size, important information at a glance on the fabric. Packed material, bottles, etc. called as level. These are woven small fabrics on narrow loom with needle tape and repair technology having multi-width simultaneously. We can make many levels at a time. There are mainly two types of level traditionally. Marketable as mentioned below. PVC rubber level used in hand baggage, aprons, etc. Then leather levels used as stylish effect in jackets and jeans, which is a demand in present era. reflective tapes. They are used in creating logo for apparel, handbags, and footwears. Elastic. They are generally used in making gloves, software, straps for undergarments, socks, swimwear, etc. Now, Jacob Muller belt weaving machine, if we see uh, graphical test by instant testing of the belt for strength, high strength belt, we can see here see this 2.50 thickness belt uh, made from the high density polyester can take 82 millimeter wide, can take 30.43 kilonewton weight, while only 50 millimeter wide belt thickness SEM 2.50 of glass, polyester glass, weft is polyester, warp is glass, can sustain 50.5 load capacity in kilonewton. The same way, if we increase the thickness even 3 mm of this belt, width will keep them like 50 mm for experiment, just half of the load can be shared by 100% polyester. So the strength of the belt depends upon the material, then their thickness. That way, what is the demand, what cost minimum we can keep, we have to choose the material and we can produce the commercial belts on these machines. Now here graph is showing a high as a polyester having the more strength, while this polyester having less strength, and other for fiber having intermediate level, this width is more. So that way we can get the correct analysis for development by strong instrument testing. Now if we come on the carbon belt, so application of carbon belts are in construction, and we can see this Jacob Muller machine narrow with fabric from carbon fiber. We can say 24K carbon, we can say 50K carbon has been produced. Then we are cutting them as required. You can imagine a building having 10 floor, 12 floor, just standing upon the 4 or 6 square pillars. So because of this uh, weight of the building, these pillars expands on the activity and they deforms. So life of the building deteriorates. So without removing the top infrastructure, how beautifully we can repair the pillars by carbon fiber. This has been shown here actually, and this is a very good technology for builders and construction. Narrow with viewing carbon fiber, actually cutting carbon fiber required. Then we are just putting epoxy, and on damaged this pillar we are putting this carbon fabric, and then we are putting this layering and keeping for drying, then using for construction. So life of the building increases by around 50 years, which has been proved very well in Nirma University, Ahmedabad. Now, if we are making some narrow belt of fiber aramid or high density polyester, so what happens? Only gray width is gray fabric cannot sustain the what we want the load. We are giving some extra epoxy or other chemical treatments. 1 minute. So we are seeing by this technology of the carbon fiber, we can repair the building pillars very well of the old buildings. And life can be increased by more 50 years by this technology by using good kind of epoxy with carbon. So now in next slide, if we see in some segments of use, if we want to use the narrow belts, we require some additional processes to increase their characteristics in terms of strength, in terms of smoothness. For example, here you can see one aramid belt you can see, then one high tensile polyester belt you can see. We are making the belt. After making belt, we are giving the treatment with the epoxy. So surface will become more strengthful as well as smooth for further uses. This is a value addition in the belt quality by strength as well as handling. Now, if we see heat production belts, see earlier asbestos belts were coming very well much in market, but this material found highly toxic in nature. So now industries and other companies uh, are taking fiberglass and aramid belts as replacement of asbestos belts, which can sustain temperature 350 degrees centigrade to 1600 degrees centigrade, like for firefighting. Then they can sustain the weave with 650 to 1250 GSM and 1.3 millimeter only thickness are being used. This thermal insulation can give very good help during the firefighting. During fire, if we can join the fire blanket with them, nothing will happen to blanket as well as these beds, and lives can be saved uh, very well with these belts. Now, this is a Magma Narrow Weaving machine. They again one more technology in the narrow width fabric, Magma Narrow Jacquard loom. Now there is provision. This shuttle loom actually. Earlier I told you how to repair looms. Now this is a shuttle looms. Magma Narrow Jacquard loom having the jacquard here, single cylinder, single lip jacquard. So in the fabric, we can put more elaborative figures by application of the jacquard. Then here also we can use several bits on the machine according to what read we are taking here for narrow fabric. Now, a special narrow fabric machine builder Magma and launched a high productivity shuttle loom for complex. इनको करना म्यूट करना. Now, this jacquard fabric, feature jacquard technology, number of hooks, number of hands, so no heat is there. There is Australia technology, and we can make the innovative designs. This is made by the Prashant Gamatex, an Ahmedabad-based company, which is making the economical narrow width machines. Now, on this machine made by Prashant Gamatex, Ahmedabad, sample of various weaves like plain, frill, satin, combination, elevated jacquard designs in a very cost-effective manner have been developed in industry. On narrow loom, with minor use of expensive yarn before designing wider width on various looms. With very costly yarn like aramid, carbon, and dynamo prototype are being made in demand of technical fabric has been increased in market. Narrow bit prototypes can be tested and modified for exact application. Now we are discussing the results of this narrow bit fabric. We can say sampling of the narrow weaving machine save the cost as well as time. See, if we make the sample on the broad loom, maybe air jet, maybe water jet, maybe dornier, maybe fertile, full width will take the more consumption of yarn, which is the cost factor. To decide a big yarns, we have to reject many samples. So material will go on wastage. But if there is a narrow weaving machine, if we make a small quantity of the fabric by less material, cost will be saved in sampling. Even if reacted, there is no much problem because cost was less to develop sample. Development is very important. Some cost goes on the development. Now we can view high strength belt in one of or more split together. But tensile strength 50 kilonewton, even more depends upon the material and width of the belt. As I shown you in previous slides, the wing width are very important to make the belt. Suppose there is a big chain, so it may got rusted. If people are holding it, it may damage their hands because of the roughness. But if you are using the belt, we can just throw it on the trucks, no problem. They will not give any problem. Even handling by the hand is very easier for the human being. But it's still the same. What we are using in the chain, we are getting the same strength in the belt, even more than that in the belt, depending upon the material. Then woven belt can be finished by coating on auxiliary machines on enhanced mechanical properties. See, suppose we want 80 kN strength. Up to we can impart 50 kN strength. Now remaining 30 kN strength can be imparted by putting some chemical on this belt. This is possible by hold melt coating or solvent melt coating. So by this coating, slightly GSM will increase, and with this addition of this chemical, high strength belt may be produced for the uses. Even with this layer, handling of the belt will be smoother. Grey belt may give some problem to the hands, but once it is finished by epoxy or AOAP chemical or BOPP chemicals, they will become very smooth for handling as well as strength. Now, nowadays, customer prefer keep changing all the time. Innovations will help in the future growth of the industries. Around 3,000 varieties of elastic fabrics are manufactured on narrow width looms. What is happening? Earlier, there was no importance of the fashion, but now people are having a more test. What is running today, tomorrow will be different because innovation is there. They want to add some facilities, they want to add some eye-catching colors, they want to make some multi-uses. So innovation is a continuous phenomena at present era. So by this sampling on the narrow width, we can make very much fabrics of innovative type within economic cost. The elastic material chain were used as safety belt, but now high strength woven belts are being used mostly. Radical changes in the textile sector have been put by narrow fabric industry to become more successful because they are easy to handle and uncompleted to mount. Then we can see this technology is very important to produce high strength belt, car seat belt, conveyor belt. Suppose there is a machine spinning ring frame. The bobbins are collecting on the belt. That belt is made by weaving and further lamination and coating. This is used as conveyor belt. So because being strength is there, and because of addition of the extra material during running, abrasion properties have been enhanced on the belts. Now, investment in aero industry for an enterprise is ever-given business by seeing demand of the concerned products. What happens if some entrepreneur wants to put some project or make some business? Land is a very crucial and important factor. Land cost is very much. So mostly these narrow machines are vertical, not horizontal. So they takes less floor space. With less space, one enterprise can start a business with this technology. And demand in the market is evergreen. Suppose levels are required, levels of Raymonds, example, levels of Lee, brand, etc. So they are never-ending things, and once they start, they have to produce, they have to produce, they have to produce, and money is coming for an entrepreneur. So these are the evergreen business with less investment. And even these machines are very simple because nowadays everybody is prospective. One person is working. If we see man, machine, and material, man is the costliest asset because he is handling the machines and material. So what happens in industry? Somebody is working on the machine, but for the better career prospects, he leaves the company and goes to other company. Then moving company to company. So once person goes from other company, from this company to other company, there must be an impact because person was knowing the everything, the newcomer has to know the everything. These technology are very simple in learning. So in 1 day or 2 day, new operator can assess what to do, how to do, what will happen, and we start the working efficiently. So no problem comes by changing the main on these machines. So these are the technology of the narrowband fabric. Thanks.